Welcome back, guys. We were discussing ethics paper 2016 previous year question. We were discussing in the first video we finished section A, and in this video we are going to take up the section B, that is case studies. There are around 7 to 8 case studies. We are going to take up these case studies in this video, right? So we are going to follow the same pattern. First, pause the video, you go through with this case study. I will be back in a minute or two. Then we are going to discuss the question. The same pattern, it is going to continue here also, right? So take a pause, go through with the question. I'll be back. Now, what exactly this particular case study is talking about? A new engineering graduate, she has got the new job, salary is very good. After joining the job, she got to know that the toxic waste of a company, they are leaving it to the nearby river, nearby water body, and people are consuming this water and it is impacting their lives in a negative way. She knows that, and company also knows that, but company is keeping quiet. Whoever raised this issue, company is dismissing those employees. So this is the setup. Now salary is good and she is in need of this salary, she is in need of this job. If she raises her voice, she is going to be dismissed, so she cannot quit the job. At the same time, there is conscience. Conscience is pricking her conscience, but her conscience pricks her to do something. So this is the dilemma. One side, she wants to have this job, it's a dilemma regarding job security. Another side, it is impacting the lives of the people. So this dilemma is going on. Then now, how do you deal with the situation and what are the steps you take? This is what the question is talking about. Here the first question is, what argument can you advance to show her that keeping quiet is not morally right? See, this engineering graduate who is working, she comes to you and she asks your opinion. Now her conscience is pricking, there is kind of crisis of conscience is there. So she has come to you and she is asking your advice what to do in this situation. I want my job security is important, financial security is important at this point of time. At the same time, I cannot compromise with the lives of the people there. This toxic waste is polluting the water nearby river, and people are consuming this water and their health is getting impacted. So now she comes to you what to do at this position. The first question is, what are the argument you tell her to convince not to keep quiet? Keeping quiet, it is not morally correct. Now what do you do? What are the steps you take? Now that argument you have to convince her. What are the arguments you give? That is first question. And the second question is, what course of action would you advise her to adopt? She has to do something, and what should be the best course of action, and you have to give the justification also why, right? So the first question, again the case study deals with there is ethical dilemma. Dilemma is career security, the financial security, at the same time social responsibility. It is my company is impacting the lives of the people and I have certain social responsibility, and here I cannot do anything. So the dilemma is there. If you compromise with this, your career security will be gone. They are going to remove you from the job. But if you compromise with that career security, then social responsibility, you cannot uphold your social responsibility. So this dilemma is there. So the first part of the question, so what are the arguments? How do you convince her that keeping quiet is not morally right? So there are 5-6 points are there. I've written very simple points here for all the case studies. See, in the examination you have to extend these points and you have to write a substantiate arguments. But here for all the case studies, it is one line answers I am giving you just as a fodder material, right? So the first thing, the case study deals with a that we have discussion. We talked about this dilemma. Now, so how do I convince her? The first and foremost thing is, we are human beings. Every individuals, we have certain social responsibility, we have certain moral responsibility, and this moral responsibility is with respect to lives of other people. Especially if somebody is in danger, it is my human responsibility, it is my social responsibility to protect the life of that person. But here I am compromising with that particular, the basic moral principle, the basic human values, I am compromising with that. So this is first argument I tell her, that we all have moral duty to care and protect for the lives of others, but what am I doing here? I am compromising with the basic human value, the basic moral duty, the basic civic duty. This is the first argument. And the second argument is that there is a constitutional obligation also. Constitution, there is a right to life. Article 21 talks about right to life. So within that right to life, there is one of the subclause, and subclause talks about safe and unpolluted water. In my right to life, I have right to have a unpolluted, safe environment to live. So this entire scenario, this goes against the constitutional morality. I am a citizen of the country, I have to respect the constitutional principles, I have to respect the constitutional values. Here there is a outright disrespect, outright illegality is there with respect to these aspects. And the third aspect is, in the question, in the case study, it has been mentioned that her conscience, it pricks her conscience. It means that her conscience is telling something, but she could not able to do it. So this situation creates crisis of conscience. Crisis of conscience is that there are two different value systems. The clash is going on between different value systems. Your conscience is telling one, your conscience is telling you to do something, but you are doing something else. So this crisis of conscience is happening at her. When you are at this crisis, you will not be in peace. There will always be constant struggle, internal struggle, emotional turmoil will be going on as long as you have a crisis of conscience. Usually what happens, this crisis of conscience, this will lead to the cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, again two different thoughts and the clash of different thoughts. So cognitive dissonance happens, and this cognitive dissonance, eventually this will lead to the emotional instability, and that will lead to the emotional turmoil. So this is not good for you. For an individual well-being, keeping quiet is not a right option. This is the third argument. And the next argument is that I am convincing her, follow the means based approach. Means based approach, here you are following on the way you do things, deontological approach, duty based approach. See, consequence based approach, I think of consequences. If I raise my voice, what will happen? I think of consequences. But here in means based approach, I am not thinking about my consequences of my action. I am thinking about whether my step, whether my actions, they are right or wrong. So I am suggesting her, at this point of time, you focus means based approach. You take decision based on means based approach. So compromising moral principles for your career security, it is not worth. This is what I am convincing her. And then finally, see, whatever the company is doing, ethically it is wrong, legally it is wrong. So it both ethically and legally wrong. It means that whether it is today or tomorrow, someday the legal aspect you have to face, company has to face the legal aspect. So there is punishment also. So if you look at long term perspective, some or other day company is going to face the heat from the authorities. So at that point of time, it is going to impact your job also. You are going to lose your job, or something negative is going to happen at this point of time. Now what I suggest you is, in future you are going to face risk to your career, risk to your job. Now I would suggest, take that risk at this point of time only and change the job, go to some other company. In a long run, this company is not good, this company is not beneficial for you. So I would suggest, take that challenge now itself. So that is the next argument. And finally, I will tell you that for us individually, we have certain principles, that is moral duty, and at the professional level also we have certain moral duty, professional ethics. And professional ethics talks about integrity, it talks about probity, it talks about honesty. Now you are compromising with all these values. Transparency, accountability, all these values you are compromising with. Even from a career perspective also, it shows lack of integrity to your professional ethics. So these are the arguments I am putting in front of her to convince her to do something. Don't keep quiet. Keeping quiet is not morally right. So these are the course of action. Again, I am telling you, extend these points. I am just giving you the fodder material. Extend these points in examination, all because it is what, 20 marks, right? And next part of the question is that, what is the course of action you suggest, and give the justification. So the course of action, what should she do according to you? So course of action I am suggesting here is that, first and foremost, I will tell her to gather the proper evidence. You have to have proper evidence before accusing someone of doing something wrong. So gather the necessary evidence. And the next step is that, don't go the authorities directly, talk to the company. How do you talk? Directly you cannot talk. If you talk directly, they are going to dismiss you. So what is the option you have? You have the option of informing them, but without telling your name. That anonymity, maintain that anonymity and give the anonymous warning. Write a letter or write a mail with these evidence and tell them that this is what you are doing. If you don't take any right actions, this will go to the authorities. So these kind of anonymous warning can be given. Now it is up to the company. If company want to take a action, they will take, then it is fine, they will correct whatever it is happening. But if they don't take any action regarding your anonymous warning, your mail or letter warning, then the next step is you have to send this to government authorities, and then let the government authorities take action here. Like we have pollution board, we have tribunals, environmental tribunals. Send these evidence, whatever you have collected, send these to these bodies and they are going to take a step here, and these authorities are going to take action, right? And the next step is that you have to, some or other way they are going to find you. It's possible, there is a probability is there. Now what you have to do is you have to legally you have to secure yourself. How do you secure yourself? Talk to a legal expert, take an advice from legal expert how to handle these things. If it comes to me, if the company finds out that I am the one who has given this warning, then you have to protect yourself. So go through the legal methodology, legal procedure, and take advice of legal expert and follow this advice and implement this advice. And you can also involve NGOs, civil society organizations also in this regard, and they also help you. They are also going to give their inputs regarding this particular case. And finally, in the entire process, you find the alternate employment also. But you never know that if something comes out, they are going to send you back. And also, crisis of conscience is there. You are not happy working there. You know that the company is impacting the lives of the people and you are not happy about it. So in the journey of unearthing all these things, you make sure that you find an alternative employment opportunity also. You find alternative arrangements also. So this is my suggestion with respect to what should she do, my course of action to engineering graduate, right? This is one. And the justification is that I have to use the justification also. I have to answer why aspect also. Why it is that the first is that I have my social responsibility. First and foremost, I have to uphold my social responsibility. So I am upholding my social responsibility by taking care of these people, because I have compassion, I have genuine care for these people. So my first preference is to social responsibility. I am not giving preference to my career. Here is a social responsibility. If I give preference to my career, then I will keep quiet. I am not going to talk about these things. But here my first preference is the social responsibility. And the second aspect is this social responsibility and entire this course of action. This shows my value of moral courage, shows my value of fortitude, and it shows my value of commitment towards the welfare of the society. So I can this social responsibility, this act shows these values in my conduct. And anonymous reporting, whatever I am doing here, anonymous warning, anonymous reporting, all these things, and also finding a alternative employment opportunity, career, alternative job, it shows that I am focusing on my career also. So dilemma of this case study is one side career security, another side I have a social responsibility of people. So here priority I have given social responsibility. At the same time, I am taking care of my career responsibility also by maintaining that anonymity. At the same time, I am finding alternative employment opportunities. So I am focusing on my career and financial security also. I am not compromising with this also. So by this, I am balancing both my ethical principles, I am balancing environmental ethics, and also protecting myself, protecting herself. So this is the course of action I am suggesting to this girl, right? So this would be sufficient. Let's move to the next case study. Again, pause this and go through with the question. I will be back in a minute or two and then we'll have a discussion, right? Go through with this question. This particular case study is with respect to land acquisition. Here I'll explain it in a simple terms, land acquisition. And in this land acquisition, the payment that is given for the displaced people, it is very less, it's very tardy. That is what it has been mentioned here, monetary compensation. that is very less. And another aspect is the people who are displaced, they don't have much skills, and usually what happens after the displacement, they end up in being migrant labor workers in the urban areas. This is what happening. And moreover, if you look at the entire situation, because these projects, land acquisition, these are all helping industrialists, these are all helping urban people, but who are suffering here? The people, the rural people, or the Adivasi or the tribal people who are getting affected here. So this is the situation now. Now the question is that you are an officer here, or you are like a drafting committee member, something like that. So you have to come up with a better rehabilitation policy. So what are the steps you take, and you have to give the explanation to that. So how would you approach the problem? How do you approach the problem, and what would be the main elements of your suggested policy? So ultimately what I'll do is I'll just go through with the points which are necessary to answer, and it is your responsibility to extend these points in the examination if the similar question comes in the examination. So what I'll do is I'll just go through with the points as a fodder material. I told you that there are 7 or 8 points. I'll tell you those points. In the examination you extend these points. Ultimately this is for 20 marks, so you have to write it a lot. So let's see now what are the ethical dilemmas here. One side, it is the development. We need development, we need socio-economic development. In that development we need implementation of projects, we need these kind of new infrastructure. So because of this, displacement happens, so rehabilitation it happens. So the tussle is that one side there is a development, another side because of this rehabilitation displacement it is impacting the social justice. So the concept here, the dilemma here between development and the social justice. Now you need to balance, you have to come up with a policy which balances both development and social justice. See, you cannot compromise your development also. You cannot say that it is going to impact the people, so we cannot go for a policy paralysis, we cannot go for a stagnation of infrastructure development. It has to go on. At the same time, make sure that you don't compromise with social justice. This is what even the case study is also talking about. It is helping certain section of the people, but the people who are displaced, they are not getting any benefit out of it. So it is your responsibility now. You are in the policy making committee, then you have to make some suggestion to make it right. So now there are 7 or 8 points are there. We will see these points one after other. So the first and foremost thing I would suggest is that the main crux of the entire case study that is given in the question, it is compensation. The first aspect is the lack of proper compensation. So your focus should be on compensation of displaced people. Compensation should be whatever the market value, twice or 3 times the market value. That should be the compensation. You have to strengthen them financially. So that is the first step, because they are leaving everything and they are going to the new geographical location. They are starting their life from a scratch, from a beginning. So it is your responsibility. One thing, you give a compensation 2 or 3 times the market value, not the registered value, market value. At the same time, you have to provide them infrastructure also, the necessary infrastructure also. It is your responsibility, it is government responsibility to give that infrastructure also. And the next thing is, see, when you are displacing the people, make sure that the new location, it has similar characteristics, whether it is culturally, socially, economically, characteristics should be the same. Even if they are rehabilitating to a new location, make sure that they have similar characteristics in the new location also. Whatever the characteristics they had in the original location, similar characteristics should be there. You have to select only that kind of location only. And the third thing is, there should not be any forceful eviction. There should not be any forceful eviction. Everything should be voluntary. And another thing is, you have to use there should be an act of persuasion, there should be an act of social influence. Everything should be voluntary and everything should be self-approved. There should not be any forceful eviction, right? And the next thing is, what approach government should follow? Government should always go through the either rights based approach or qualitative utilitarianism. Usually what happens, right based approach, you are not going to compromise with the justice aspect, you are not going to compromise with the right of an individual. Every individual, there is a dignity aspect to it, and don't compromise with the dignity of an individual. So either you follow right based approach or you follow qualitative utilitarianism. Qualitative utilitarianism Again, the utilitarianism, you know that maximum benefit to maximum number of people, but at the same time, even there are minority people who are going to be impacted negatively. You take care of them also, you provide justice to these people also, you be fair and maintain the value of equality to them. So either you follow justice rule rights based approach, or you follow the qualitative utilitarian model, so that you are not going to compromise with justice aspect. So this is another suggestion I am giving. And then social impact assessment should be there, and environment impact assessment should be there. Usually a lot of manipulation happens in the social impact assessment, SIA and EIA. So a lot of manipulation happens. Most of the time it is just a copy paste of one company. One company did the environmental assessment, another company took the same thing, edited few things and gave it to the government. This is what happens. This should not be the case. Proper assessment has to happen, and once the assessment is happened, then analysis of this assessment, this report should be there. And if the report suggests some changes or some alterations in the project, that has to be implemented without compromise. So strict social impact assessment, environment impact assessment before project implementation, not after implementation. That is also very much important. And another suggestion is that, see, I told you that even in the question it has been mentioned that these people who are displaced, they don't have any skills. So it is a responsibility of a government to provide skill. Now if with these skills they have a various employment opportunities. So more number of skills, more employment opportunity. Now this responsibility should be taken by government only. Government should come up with a skill development option, and because of this their employment opportunities, it is going to increase, and it is going to create alternative employment opportunities also. So this is going to strengthen both social security as well as the financial security. And finally, there should be an independent monitoring mechanism for rehabilitation. Especially the displacement happens, you have to talk to these people, you have to understand what are their problems, and whether did they receive the funding, do they like the new location. Everything that has to be done independently. Independent bodies should be there, it is not the government agencies. Independent bodies, monitoring mechanism, they should involve in the monitoring mechanism, they should involve in the dialogue process, negotiation process, and evaluation happens. And even third party social audits should be there, and these accounting social audits should also be in place to understand the real situation. And then finally, proper grievance redressal, it is also important. Implementing all these things, if you don't have grievance redressal mechanism, that is also no use. Ultimately you have a time bound grievance redressal mechanism, and that should come up with a legal support. Time bound grievance redressal with legal support. So these are, I am suggesting these measures with respect to rehabilitation policy. Again I am telling you, this is not sufficient in the examination. You have to expand this. You can even go for a micro topics also. This is a, in general, a framework I am giving you with respect to this case studies, right? Let's move to the next one. The next case study is here, and again I am going to give you a minute or two. I'll come back and I'll explain. You can pause the video, you can go through with the questions, right? What exactly this case study is talking about? You are an officer in charge, you are implementing a social service scheme, and you are an officer in charge. Now for you towards in order to get enroll into this social service scheme, a old lady comes to you and she don't have any documents. See, in order to enroll a person into a particular scheme, there are minimum documents it is required. So this is what government expects. But here the old lady, she is illiterate also, she comes there and she don't have any document. But you are an officer, you know that, you genuinely know that she deserved to be in that scheme. But government rules are rules. You have to provide these documents. Without these documents, the officer is not supposed to enroll her. This is the situation now. Now one side there is an objectivity that you are not supposed to break the rules. Another side, you genuinely know that she deserves to be in that list, she deserves to get the benefit of this scheme. Now how do you handle this situation? That this is what, can you think a rational way to resolve this dilemma? It's there, one side there is a humanitarian ethics, another side there is a commitment to the rule of law. So the objectivity and the humanitarian ethics, that is the dilemma here. Is there any rational way to solve this dilemma? This is one question. And the second aspect is give reasons for it. Whatever the options you say, give reasons for it, that why are you taking this, right? Again, here also fodder material I am going to give, you have to exchange this in the examination. So the present case study, it's a dilemma between rule bound governance and the humanitarian ethics. You know that, you genuinely know that she is an old and illiterate lady and she deserves to be there, she don't have documents. Now how do you handle this? Is the dilemma. See, you cannot enroll her because this goes against the objectivity, this goes against the rule of law. At the same time, it is about the ethics, it is about the values regarding she is in need, that compassion, empathy should be there. So this is the major aspect of this major dilemma, ethical dilemma of this particular case study. Now how do you deal with it? The first aspect is that, see, I will explore all possible ways to, within an ambit of legality, under the ambit of legality, I will explore every possible way to enroll her into the particular scheme. I will see this, is there any way I can enroll her, is there any possibility, even if there is a possibility I will consider. First and foremost step is that I am going to explore all possible alternative solutions. This is first thing. And the second thing is I will seek support from my colleagues, I will seek support from the local authorities as well as the social workers also. Even the social workers, they have the knowledge regarding all these things, so I will take help from them. I will talk to them that is there any possibility, I will see the option here. This is one thing. And for innovative solution, legal way I have already explored it. Now to find the innovative solution, I will talk to these people. And see, I have to have that aspect of empathy. Even empathy is one among the key principles of foundational values of civil services. So being empathetic, I will try to help her in the process of documentation. See, I cannot do this to every single person. There are thousands of people comes to enroll for these kind of schemes, and every single personality I cannot do this. But here it is a special case. I genuinely feel that that woman deserves to be in the list. Now, be with that empathy, with that emotional intelligence, now I help her in the process of documentation. For this process of documentation, again I can take help of colleagues, I can take help of local authorities, I can take help of social worker. Then I will see if there are any non-government organizations, civil society organizations are there, then I will link her to these NGOs, because at this point of time, if there are any emergency necessities she has, then I'll make sure that these bodies are going to take care of her. Maybe with respect to food, shelter, even health checkup, all these things, these NGOs, I make sure that she gets services through this NGO. So to address the emergency situation here, and I take care of immediate necessary steps. What are the basic necessary steps at this point of time to enroll into the scheme, that I'll take care of it. And also I'll try to find short-term solution. See, ultimately she has to enroll, that is a long-term objective in this case study. But short-term, if I could able to write her name in in the, what do you say, that maybe temporary list, if I could add her name to the temporary list. So these kind of short-term solution, I will make sure that if I could able to do, I will do it. And I will recommend this particular case to the higher authorities as a special case. So I will recommend her case to the higher authorities as a special case. This is my course of action. This is what I can do, because I have to follow the objectivity. I cannot compromise with the objectivity. I cannot compromise with the rule of law. That is for sure. That is the priority. But abiding to this rule of law, I can take some steps. These are some steps I can take, being an officer, being objective, right? Then the reason I am following this, is that, see, I have certain moral obligation as a public servant. So this is very genuine case, and in this kind of genuine case, I have to implement these foundational values, I have to implement this moral principle. So Here I am implementing, I have the moral obligation to implement this empathy, to implement this dedication, to implement the compassion towards the vulnerable section. So this is what I am doing. See, objectivity I should not compromise with. Objectivity is that established norms are there, I have to follow this established norm. Objectivity I'm not compromising, but I am adding, along with objectivity I am adding compassion also. This is another foundational values. 10th ARC second ARC 10th report talks about this. I am adding compassion with objectivity so that there will be fairness in my decision making. Ultimately, whether it is civil services, public services, or the political even leadership, ultimately what we aim for is justice, equality, fairness. So whether it is objectivity or whether it is subjectivity, if it gives fairness, then you can go for it. But being a civil servant, I have to give first preference to objectivity here. Objectivity, I am adding compassion, and then I make sure that fairness is added into this particular case. And see, rationally question talk about within that rational ambit. Within that rational ambit, I have to follow the legal ways. There is no compromise with that. So the rational solution lies in being legally correct. But at the same time, I can be ethically responsive. I am legally correct, but make sure that I am ethically responsive also. So this promote humanistic administration. Right. This is the reason I am following these course of action. Right. So let's move to the next case study. So pause the video and go through with the case study. I will be back. So this case study, it talks about you are an assistant to the director of your department, and this director is helping you a lot. He is guiding you and it is helping your career. So this is one side. Another side, because of some urgent work, you visited his home, and when you go to his house, you come to know that there is a situation of domestic violence. Your superior, he is that with domestic violence is happening with his wife. Now this is the situation. Now what do you do? That is the scenario here. There are three options, consequences have been given. There are three options have been given, and you have to write the merits and demerits of all these things, and you have to give the conclusion. The first thing is that just ignore thinking about it because it is their personal matter. This is a matter of husband and wife. Just ignore it. This is one option. Second option, repost the case to the appropriate authorities. So give the information regarding this particular case to the appropriate authorities. This second option. And the third option, your own innovative approach towards the solution, towards the situation. Right. So let's get into the discussion of this case study. The first option, ignoring the things because it is the personal matter. So this is the first option. See, what is the merit and what is the demerit? Let's see the merit. See, I am ignoring it because I feel that this is a matter between husband and wife, so I am a third person, I should not interfere. Ultimately today or tomorrow somehow they are going to patch up the things. This is the merit. And the second thing is, if I ignore these things, my relationship with my senior, my superior will be good. Already he is helping me in my career, so this is not going to get disturbed. So these are the merits. So my relationship will not be affected with my senior. At the same time, these are the internal matter. I should not interfere in the husband-wife matter. This is positive. And there are demerits also. What are the demerits? You know that domestic violence, it is happening and you are not taking any step. So this clearly shows that there is no moral courage, there is no social responsibility. So this shows that lack of courage and fortitudeness, and this goes against the moral principles. We should have that principle of empathy and compassion towards other human being. Here you know that the wife, she is getting beaten by your superior, but still you are not doing anything. So where is your value system of compassion? Where is your value system of empathy? Again, it goes against the moral principles, and also it is our duty to protect the vulnerable people, and we are here the option you are not doing it. So this is another negative thing, demerit. And the third aspect is there is crisis of conscience. You know that she is suffering, you want to do something, but at the same time, if I take that action, my career, it is going to be impacted. One side value system, another side there is a career. That ethical dilemma is there. Again, there is a crisis of conscience, and this is going to lead to the moral distress, the cognitive distress, cognitive dissonance. This is going to lead to it. And see, in the merit I told you that it is matter of husband and wife, but here this is not restricted to the husband wife personal matter. Here violence is involved, and domestic violence is illegal in our country. So it is no more a private matter, now it has become a legal matter. For legal matter you can interfere. Now taking a step back from the legal matter, again it shows that somewhere you are compromising with the legal aspect. These are the negatives. Ultimately, finally give the conclusion with respect to this option. Conclusion is that, see, this is not a morally justifiable option here, because you have certain responsibility and you are compromising with these things because of your personal benefits. Personal benefit is that you want to have good relationship with your superior. In order to maintain that, you are compromising here that. And personal matters cannot excuse violence and abuse here. Here it is no more a personal matter, there is legal aspect, and it is violence and it is abuse is going on, physical abuse is going on. So this is beyond the personal matter. And this director, he is in a very influential social position, and people like them, people in leadership position involving in these kind of physical abuse and domestic violence, this is going to give wrong signal to the society also. So this is not a feasible option, right? Let's see the next question. The next sub question: report the case to appropriate authority. Again, let's see the merits and demerit. What is the merit here? Merit is that I have certain moral obligation and I am fulfilling that my civic duty and my moral duty. So right, I am standing against injustice. So this is fine. And the next is bring matters to the attention of authority who can legally intervene. Here, one thing, I am reporting the case, and the second thing is I am letting the authorities know, because see, my knowledge might be restricted, but these people, legal authorities, they have the proper knowledge how to handle this situation. So this another advantage, another merit of reporting them is their expertise is going to enter into that situation, so they can legally intervene. If I report it, the legal intervention of authorities will be there. That is another positive thing. And the third aspect is it ultimately protects the victim and also legal empowerment to the victim. So ultimately she is suffering, so this is going to give some kind of relief to her, and also the kind of moral support, legal support, she is also going to get it from the authorities because of this option. So these are the positives. And again, there are negatives also. What are the negatives? My professional relationship, it is going to be very bad. The director will not be happy for doing this. So professional relationship, it is going to be bad, and work culture, it is going to be tense, right? So this is the first demerit. And second thing is everything should be handled in a very sensitive manner. If this is not handled in a sensitive way, then victim is going to feel uncomfortable, and you should not make victim uncomfortable. You have to give that protection, you have to give that freedom, you should be sensitive towards the victim. So if it is not handled sensitively, this may create office gossip or tarnish the woman's dignity. So see, if she herself is not going for a legal option, it means that she is caring for all these things. She is scared that people might gossip about me, and she is also scared about the personal dignity. That is the reason she might not be going to the authorities. But by doing this, if it is handled insensitively, all these aspects will be in public. Again, it is going to create that uncomfortable situation for her. That is also you need to take care of. And then the another demerit is requires strong evidence. See, just by reporting, it is not going to happen. Strong evidence should be there. Whatever the claims you are making, you have to substantiate with evidence. There should be a strong evidence, and also don't think that it will be very fast and very easy. It will not be. Bureaucratic delays will be there. Bureaucratic process, it is going to take a lot of time. Merit and demerit. Finally, conclusion. Ethically correct, but must be persuaded with discretion and confidentiality. So this is ethically correct option, but the thing is, we should make sure that it is persuaded with discretion and confidentiality, and also you should take her permission also, victim permission also, because directly going reporting that case, it's fine, you're fulfilling your legal and moral responsibility, but even her permission, her approval is also you should taken into the consideration. So reporting should be done to internal complaints committee first, if there are internal committees in the company, or you have to, you can go for a women's commission, or you can through the NGO or through the legal aid networks you can approach this particular case. By doing this you can avoid these kind of demerits, right? And then the final sub question is that give an innovative approach towards the situation. You have to give an innovative approach. What is that innovative approach? What am I going to do here? See, the first and foremost is I have to have a discussion. If I want to complain, before that I have to talk to her also. So have a dialogue with victim, and I should offer moral and legal support to the victim, because her green signal is very much important to go ahead. So first I have to convince her and I have to get that support. And the second thing is, before going to the authorities, it is necessary even make a try to persuade your boss. So persuasion, social influence, that can also be implemented here, that can also be applied here to solve this particular case. See, if the boss is persuaded, then it is fine, the win-win situation. See, case is solved, there is no domestic violence, and also your interpersonal relationship will also be good, your career will also be good. So this is another option I'm suggesting that you can try here. And then provide information if does not work, if the persuasion does not work, then information has to be given to the women commission, or the helplines will be there. Now even online the free helpline, toll free numbers, these things are there for the women commission. Then provide information to women commission, or there are help desk helplines are there, and these support services you can approach. They will guide you what to do, and they will talk to the victim also. So they are going to guide you in the right direction. And finally, make sure that entire issue is handled with confidentiality, and ensure that privacy of victim is ensured, right? And then what is the advantage, what is the merit of this particular approach? One thing is I have my moral responsibility, and it encourages moral accountability. At the same time, see, I am using persuasion. Because of persuasion, I am avoiding open confrontation also. I am not directly quarreling with my boss, I'm trying to persuade him. So open confrontation can be avoided, and this balances the professional survival, my professional relationship, or my interpersonal relationship, that will be also good, and I have certain moral responsibility. So professional survival and the ethical responsibility, both can be balanced here, right? And it opens door for rehabilitation. So negotiations, dialogue process, it's there. The women commission, this is what they do initially. There is an open rehabilitation, negotiation, dialogue process, that is option is also available here, not just a punishment. So we can explore this also. This is the merit. And what are the demerit? The process may be very slow, and outcomes, there is no expected outcomes. Here the negotiation is happening, and the rehabilitation, these processes are going on. So don't expect that everything will be according to you, the way you plan. That is not going to happen. And another thing is, the entire process, it requires emotional intelligence, caution, patience. All the three things are required. Emotional intelligence to handle the situation, cautions, I have to take care of myself also, and also cautions with respect to victim also. Even she should be protected, and at the same time patience also. These are time consuming, and there should be patience also. And finally, another demerit is that it may harm professional relationship with boss. This is well known. So this is going to impact my professional relationship with my boss. So these are the demerits of this particular my innovation. I suggested some of the points. These are the negative aspects of those things, right? So let's move to the next question. Go through with the question. I will be back. This case study, it is talking about a company, ABC Limited company. This company, it is looking for diversification of the business here. and they have selected a place called Vikaspuri, and in Vikaspuri they want to set up a new facility there, and government policies are also in favor of these kind of setup, because Vikaspuri is underdeveloped region, and establishing these kind of facilities, these kind of companies in this region, this is going to give that boost to the economy to that entire region. So government policies are also in favor of it. But the situation here is that locals are not happy. Locals local people think that if the companies start working here, there will be a lot of influx people, the migration happens, people are going to come here, and this is going to disturb the peace and the tranquility they have in that region. So they are not happy with that. They try to talk to the company, they try to talk to the government, and again they somehow they are not happy. Finally they approach the judiciary. This is the situation. Ultimately, people of Vikaspuri, they are not happy about this company that is going to set up there, the subsidiary that is going to set up there. This is the situation. Now the question is, identify the issues involved in that case. That is the first sub question. And the second sub question is, what can be suggested so to satisfy company's goals and to address the resident concern. Residents, people, they have certain concern, company certain, they have the certain goal. Now you have to balance both of them. Then what can be suggested, what should be the way to balance both of them? So that is the second sub question. So let's answer the first question. Identify the issues involved in the case, right? So what are the issues involved in the case? The first is economic development versus social disruption. See, one side, the company and the government, it's a case of economic development. See, government thinks that if the company set up there, there will be boost to the local economy, there will be economic development. Another side, it is going to disturb the social peace and tranquility. Again, you need to balance these issues here. See, the plan is going to bring economic advancement into the underdeveloped region, but people are not happy about the social changes. So this is primary issue here. That is the reason, because of this social disruption only, they are approaching the judiciary. This is the first issue. So the tussle going on. One side we want economic development, and this economic development, it is going to bring that social disruption. Either you have to compromise with one thing. So this is the first issue. And the second issue here is that company plan versus aspiration of the people. Your company, it is looking for diversification. So company plan is something, and now aspiration of people is something. Aspiration people, their first priority is not the economic development here. The first priority is the social setup here, the peace and harmony in the social setup. Here it is not going hand in hand. Company wants to expand it, company plan, it is separate. Now aspiration of people, it is not complementary to the complement, or company plan, it is not in complementary with aspiration of the people. This is the second issue there. Company is looking for expansion and diversification of its working, but this plan is not in congruence with aspiration of the people. When that happens, the social apathy will be there, the social rejection will be there. So this is the second issue. And the third issue is, see, the entire case study, if you look at it, people are scared for future. In future, if this happens, it is going to disturb the social peace. This is what people are thinking. So there is a hypothetical situation. In future, this might happen. At the same time, it is creating a sense of insecurity. So people are insecure for the futuristic happenings. So hypothetical situation is there, and this hypothetical situation is creating the sense of insecurity. So people are worried for the future, the disruption the company is going to bring regarding the future. It is hypothetical in nature. If if the implementation is properly done, see, how can you address this? You have to implement it properly. If the implementation is properly done, region may see social development beyond their expectation. See, there is a possibilities. They have that fear. Okay, we will accept that fear. Yes, there is a point to it also, but at the same time, if the implementation is proper, then there can be a social development also. See, main plan, they are talking about economic development, but if the implementation is correct, then they can go for a social development also. Social development, it is not going to disturb the social harmony. So in turn, how exactly you are going to focus? Maybe you create the local employment, so local people are going to get more opportunities there. So this is going to help the local people only. So it is not the migration, it is the local people, they are going to get benefited if the implementation is proper. So there is a necessity to address this issue also, the hypothetical fear. And then government policy and community participation. So government is focusing on development of underdeveloped regions. See, one thing, government main focus is to support these kind of underdeveloped region and to support those companies to set up in this underdevelopment region. This is one thing. And second thing is, for these government policies there is no community participation. Community is not supporting the government policy in this particular situation. Even people of Vikas Puri, they are not in favor of government policy. Again, this issue has to be addressed. Even government should take care, should consider the aspirations of people or what people expect. So government policies should be in line with expectations of community. So government is focusing on development of underdeveloped regions. The intention is to uplift the socio-economic indicator. Government intention is fine, but community is not wholeheartedly supporting this initiative. They have their own grievance and they are not happy with that. Again, this issue need to be addressed. So the question is, what are the issues with respect to identify the issues involved in this case? These are the issues involved in this case, right? So let's go to the next sub question. The next sub question is that what can be suggested to satisfy company's goal and to address the residents in concern. You have to add one side there is a company's goal, another side there is a concern of the people. Then how do you balance both of them? How do you what are your suggestion to satisfy both of them? So that is the question. Now let's see the points. See, there is the first and foremost is people are worried about the social disturbance. First step, what you have to focus, there is a fear of social disturbance, you have to address this fear. So there is a fear of social disturbance, social disharmony. Your first step to deal with this entire aspect is address this fear of social disturbance, and you can use the act of persuasion. So whatever the fears you have, insecurities they have, you need to address them. This is the first step. And the second step is you have to talk to everybody, every stakeholders, company, government, local people, local authorities, everybody. You have to take into the confidence of all these people. See, confidence of all the stakeholders should be taken into the consideration through the dialogue process, through the negotiation process, through the arbitration. Follow any of these methodologies, but make sure that all the stakeholders are involved in the process, because you need approval, you need agreement of all these people, right? And the next thing is social impact assessment is very, very important. Here the main aspect is social disturbance, so you have to go through with a social impact assessment, and this should be mandatory. And whatever the the assessment report gives the suggestion, or whatever the steps they suggest, you have to implement it before the project itself, in the planning step itself. So mandatory social impact assessment, and this impact assessment should be done by an independent agency to understand social disruption. And people are telling that social disruption happens, so there is you have to listen, you have to consider them also seriously. There might be, you have to listen to them, it might cause social disruption. There is value to their concerns also, address their concern also, address their issues also. How do you do it? Through the independent agency, through the social impact assessment. Make it mandatory, and what exactly plan is going to call, understand it and find a solution to it. And then government should also take proactive step to convince people to be in active participant in the development plan. See, as long as community is not going to participate, the entire government policy or the company plan, this is not going to give the result. So how do you make it efficient, or how do you make it success? It is that convince people to be an active participant. When they give their 100% support, then only we can see the overall development. And another aspect is people think of social disruption because migration happens, people from other side they come, a population increases. But you can do another thing, that give employment opportunity, the local employment, focus on local employment, and also give the skill development through this plan. This will act as a push factor. Again, this is going to convince the local people to be a part of this developmental process. And then efficient grievance redressal to address the local issues. So grievance redressal should be there. If local people find that there is something wrong, there should be an agency to talk to, there should be an agency to complain to. So the grievance redressal system should be there, and maintain transparency, accountability and responsibility in the implementation of this plan. So this aspect of this transparency, it has to be maintained so that people will be aware of what exactly is going through. So these are some of the suggestions to balance companies' goals as well as the people's aspirations, right? And we have one more case study. Again, I'll pause the video, go through with the question, and I'll see you guys in a minute. In this case study, Saraswati, she is a IT professional. She was working in USA and she is a patriotic and she wanted to do something to the country. So she wanted to give something back to the country. So she took a decision that she is going to build a school in India. So that is her decision. But after the process has been started, she realized that she has to get a lot of permission. And in that process, she realized that a lot of delays happening, administrative delays are happening, and a lot of corruption is also going on. She had to pay money for all these things. So this is the situation now. Now the case study talks about it. If somebody want to give their voluntary contribution to the society, if somebody want to start something voluntarily or voluntary service to the country, there should be a mechanism. There should not be any obstruction or hindrance to these kind of voluntary activity. Now situation is that now what measures can you suggest to ensure that due control is exercised but well-meaning honest NGO efforts are not thwarted? Here what is that? You need rules and regulation, it's fine, but at the same time if there are genuine effort to give something back to the society, these efforts should not be obstructed. So what do you do? What are the steps, what are the measures you suggest to support these kind of genuine intention, genuine actions? So that is the case study. Now let's see the suggestions here. Again, these are one line suggestions, but in the examination you have to expand these and you have to extend these. So, and again for 20 marks this is not sufficient, but I am giving you one line fodder material. Extend this and expand this in the examination, right? The first point here is there are rules and restrictions. You cannot get rid of rules and regulation. That is their objectivity is there, but make sure that these rules and regulation it should help the process. It should benefit the voluntary services. It should not act as an obstruction. That care should be taken, right? Simplification and rules of procedure, and then use of technology. You use the technology, maybe single window clearance. These concepts you have to utilize for this also. Usually for big industrialists, for investment we have single window clearance. Implement the same single window clearance for voluntary work also. So single window clearance, online procedures, and everything is online now. E-governance can be implemented, can be supported for these kind of voluntary services also. Online procedure to observe transparency, maintain that transparency. See here delays happens because of confidentiality. Saraswati, she could not able to understand how long it is going to take, but when there is a transparency and accountability factor, it is easy for her, it is easy for any voluntary service enthusiasts to give her contribution, to give her time and resources here. And then social audit should be there. There should be mandatory social audits, and also this should support the participative approach with people-centric policies. So social audits already there, make it as a mandatory social audits. So when the mandatory social audits are there in government administration, whether these kind of approvals, these kind of giving permissions, everything will be transparent. So administration becomes people centric, policies become people centric. So it is going to support participative approach. When the administration is transparent, participation increases. So participation increases, the administration become people centric administration. How it is going to happen? Through the social audit to the transparency, right? Again, if we have open social audits, transparency, again this is going to support the voluntary efforts. If somebody wants to serve the country, or voluntary actions they are involved in, that is going to support it by these kind of actions. And then grievance redressal, efficient grievance redressal to strengthen the accountability and responsibility aspect also. If grievance redressal is there, if I am not happy with the service, I can question you. So you are accountable for the action. So accountability, responsibility aspect can also be strengthened if there is an effective grievance redressal mechanism. Again, having accountability, responsibility factor, this is going to strengthen if somebody wants to give their voluntary service, right? They know that where exactly, how exactly the administration is working on. And then public the report of environmental impact assessment. You can go for a social impact assessment and environmental impact assessment. Most of these assessment reports we don't even get to know, they don't even publish in the website. Now make it mandatory that every report of these kind of environmental impact report, social impact assessment report, it should be come into the public. So public should able to read, or public should able to go through with the content of these report. This is also necessary. When this is open to the public, then public will get to know that which is socially feasible, which project is socially feasible, which project is socially beneficial. And especially when somebody with genuine intention to serve the country, if they come up with better planning, even if their assessments are in public, people are going to support them. They know that genuinely these projects are going to help the country, genuinely these projects are going to help the people, so the public support will be there for these kind of projects. So that is the reason you have to publicize, you have to put this report in front of the public through the online e-governance only, and then move towards ethical governance, inculcating foundational values. See, foundational values are very, very, very important, and the entire ethics is based on these foundational values only. So foundational values of honesty, integrity, probity, emotional intelligence, empathy, all these things. Implement all these things so that governance become ethical governance. When the ethical governance is there, the core objective is justice, core objective is equality. So that if I want to give my voluntary service, I will be supported, I will be protected by the administration, right? And then time bound decision making. Here even the case studies also it mentions that a lot of delays happening, and make sure that time bound decision making, it has to be put in place. Even if document has to be approved, it has to be on a time based. So maybe 15 days, 10 days, everything should be time based, everything should be transparent. There should be factor of accountability, there should be factor of responsibility, right? Along with that, you implement ethical governance. And finally, use the tools and techniques to avoid corruption, to avoid delays, to avoid bureaucratic inefficiency, to avoid red tapeism. Sorry, tools and techniques to avoid corruption, inefficiency and incompetency. Again, I am telling you one more time that expand these points. Only writing this much, it is not sufficient for the case study, especially for the 20 marks. This is not sufficient. You have to expand this, right? So I'll finally give your conclusion. Ultimately, it's your conclusion, right? This covers the 2016 paper. Actually, 2016 paper, it is not lengthy. It was not lengthy, and even questions, most of the questions are direct and most of the questions are simple. We discussed 13, 14, 15, and even I saw the questions of 17, 18, 19 also. Those question papers also. Comparatively, this is quite easier. So thank you for listening. We have finished 4 papers, and next week we are going to cover the 17 and 18 papers. And thank you for listening. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will see you back in the channel again. Thank you so much.